Roadhog has been buffed in order for him to be a lot more survivable, and they did a pretty good job with it. I'm definitely feeling it on the screen now. You're going to be seeing some of the new Roadhog gameplay as well as old Roadhog gameplay, and you'll see in different areas where I take a lot of damage. The Take a Breather buff, especially in the Sorowasa map, that's something with the newly buffed Roadhog Take a Breather. It was definitely helping me escape a lot of situations. So the buff is really good. It again, the point of his buff was he was struggling in terms of survivability against, like, Hogs has weaknesses against poke based comps, and he falls apart against Anane. I don't think I have to talk more about that for now, but we do want to read the developer comments and what the developers think. So developer comments were, we're adjusting a few things with the new Take a Breather, as our initial landing spot was slightly conservative. The tweak should offer Roadhog more healing output and damage additions from moment to moment, while we are shortening the maximum duration. This gives Hog faster healing and should alleviate some of the feelings player had being locked into using Take a Breather for a large chunk of their gameplay. So, Take a Breather changes, our total healing has been increased from 450 to 500, damage reduction has been increased from 30 to 40%, max duration reduced from 3 to 2.5, and recharge time reduced from 12 to 10 seconds. Now, in my personal opinion, is this buff good? Is it bad? I think it's a good buff. And honestly, the developers have pretty much made it clear that they don't necessarily care about making Hog any team oriented style tank, something like Ryan Zarya, um, the way those two characters are. Instead, they just kind of want to leave him to be this, like, again, this new archetype of tanks that they're going into with Mauga, with Junker Queen, just like this big broody brawler who just cares about, uh, just getting kills and moving on. Now, what is the problem with this design, right? Now, to be fair, Mauga and Jungle Queen do bring something to their team in the form of lifesteal for Mauga and commanding shot for Jungle Queen. Hog doesn't necessarily bring anything at all that he can do to help his team out, right? Now, Pigpen, you can position it towards your supports in order, like, let's say if there's a flanker and they run into Pigpen, it helps the support out in their duel. If you have an Ana or Brig that may be getting harassed by Tracer or Genji, even Sombra, then that Pigpen will definitely be a big factor in forcing them away. But of course, they could just play around it and destroy it. Pigpen really just seems to be an ability that Hog wants to use for himself in order to, just better utilize his combos, have an excuse to have a one shot, and just kind of just be in that one area. What is the problem with that design? Is it just limits Hog to, okay, whenever I have hook, my only playmaking potential is I try to cook someone by pulling them in. And if I do it, great, let's walk in, let's try to take advantage of the situation. Hopefully, my DPS can follow up and apply more pressure. If not, then Hog is pretty much just at the mercy of his own abilities. He's relying a lot on his hook. And if he doesn't have it, he's kind of screwed because while the changes to his poke is pretty good and the changes to the way his spread works in his combos is also nice, still a bit inconsistent, but I understand why. It again doesn't necessarily solve a lot of Roadhog's different problems that we've talked about before. He remains the same. I don't even think that we should call this rework a rework. It's mostly just been like an adjustment to existing cooldowns and giving him a new tool to kind of do what he wants. Yeah, I guess we could call it a soft rework and not a full on rework, something like Doom and Orisa. Then it's a soft rework, kind of like what they did with Sombra. And that's kind of what they're trying to do now. It's like if a character is weak, then they try to give them tools to be able to do that one job better. For example, in Sombra's case, they wanted Sombra to be like this stealth hacker assassin character, and they leaned into that with the soft rework that they gave her. Hog is basically tied to his identity with the hook, and that's basically what they want to lean into, and that's all that they want to do. Is that the right way going forward for the game? I think it's okay as long as at some point we address what really holds characters like Sombra and Roadhog and just any character that might be feeling weak right now, is that everybody is just at the mercy of important support cooldowns, right? Like if you hook someone with Roadhog, I had this happen earlier. I was about to confirm a kill and then the life Weaver just pulled him away. And like now my whole value as a tank in that scenario is completely gone, right? And then again, my window is even more extreme that, okay, the next time I get hooked, I must get value with it because if I don't, Life Weaver is getting close to his next pull and he can bail that person out. Now, then if that person that's playing Life Weaver has a Suzu, a Kiriko with them for the Suzu or an Ana, it becomes even more difficult to play Roadhog. Even on the footage on the screen right now that you can see, I'm doing a pretty good job of dominating Sorvasa, and then there comes a point where the Ana decides to play a lot more aggressive with her tank, and I basically fall apart from that point on. And that's kind of what happens with Roadhog, is the moment there is a confidence shot in the other team that, okay, let's just like walk into this guy and delete him and move on, there's not much you can do. Like, if anything, Hog ends up relying more on his team than his team relies on Hog, which is a little bit sad for a tank because it should be the other way around and not the other way in. That is my perspective on Roadhog. Another thing that we also know going forward is Mauga is actually going to be getting a handful of buffs. Aaron Keller actually came on Twitter last night, if I'm not mistaken, and he shared that the team has some goals in regards to what they want to do with Mauga. They're giving him like some buffs and things like that. If you guys look on your screen right now, I'll probably have the Mauga information coming up on your screen right about now. Somewhere editing magic is being done, and I'm improvising through a live video recording, voice recording. But yeah, so what we do know about the Mauga buff is, here we go. He has a reduced head hitbox size, which is nice. They're giving him 150 armor to replace 150 of his health. He's going to be getting a damage increase on his overrun. Sorry, he'll be getting an increased damage reduction on overrun. So when you're like doing his run, like his dash or Reinhardt pin that he has, you're going to take like a little bit less damage. So honestly, overrun is just going to be a good ability to use to get out of situations. Like, more often than not, it was being kind of used to just escape, because anytime you went in with it, you were basically dead, right? There's an increased lifesteal on cardiac arrest, cardiac overdrive. Sorry, I cannot stop calling it that. There'll be different spreads and fire rates for his weapons. I'm a little bit worried about this. And then the damage, ammo, and fall of numbers are being changed too. Now, the thing that's basically scaring me is, I kind of feel like, all the stuff above is fine. And if anything, we should have just left it at that and see how Mauga feels and then go from there. But there's different spreads and fire rates, as well as the damage, ammo, and fall of numbers being changed. If they kind of not just buff his overall survivability, but also his lethality, he is going to feel very oppressive. He might feel very, very difficult to deal with, because again, we might just be subjected to another goats like playstyle where, lifesteal keeps him alive. And don't forget, lifesteal is really good for his teammates too, right? Like, once you activate the cardiac overdrive, characters like Reaper and Torb will be healing themselves. Genji, Tracer can heal themselves. Even the supports, if they're doing damage, will be able to heal themselves. And from what I understand, the cardiac overdrive radius is pretty forgiving too. So it's not like it's something that hard to pull off or find value in. And if you're playing that, brawl playstyle, everybody's going to be grouped up with you anyway. So in this area from the Mauga buffs, I'm a little bit worried. I really hope that Blizzard kind of like have like a failsafe in mind, just in case like Mauga goes out of control. But to be fair, he's still at the extreme mercy of Ana. Again, just like Roadhog, just like Queen, just like Ramatra in certain situations. So for as long as that problem kind of exists, Ana is there to kind of keep them in check. Let's see what they do with these buffs when they come to live. Personally, I was fine with the survivability changes. I didn't think like, maybe Mauga needs like a different spread and fire rate on his weapons, or even a damage, ammo, and fall of number changes. Now, to be fair, these could even be nerfs. Okay, these could possibly nerfs, and that would be silly. Like, if he gets nerfed in the damage, ammo, or even fall of department, I don't think that's where any of the problems or even the frustrations lied for Mauga. A lot of it was, well, this character either just falls apart to Ana's nade very quickly, and number two is that his survivability in certain situations is really bad. And he, like, what, like, he just, once he gets caught, it's over. It's very hard. So the 150 armor and the increased damage reduction on his running away, the overrun, and then the increased lifesteal on the cardiac overdrive, these are some buffs that I would first want to bring in, because it's pretty big buffs. And he's even, I forgot, he's also, his head hitbox is getting smaller. So I would have much preferred to first experiment with these survivability changes, and then if that doesn't help with like what he's doing in terms of damage and things like that, maybe then we can adjust those numbers to, give him more lethality, that okay, well, he's surviving a lot more, uh and maybe his lethality is now bad, like he's not really getting kills, his kill potential is bad. Let's buff up his um damage output in the mid season and kind of go from there. However, I do appreciate that the developers do want to sometimes take risks and see how things go. Again, so far we know that all of these things are potential buffs until we reach the different spreads and fire rates, ammo, damage, and fall off number changes. We don't have the raw numbers just yet. We will see them in December 5th when the Mauga patch goes live. I am cautiously optimistic, and at the same time, I'm a little bit scared that, I don't know, maybe turning Mauga to just a walking tank bastion, if that's the direction they end up going, isn't the best thing in the world, right? Especially for a lot of like other tanks, like maybe Roadhog and Reinhardt will just insta fall apart to Mauga. Before it was like for the limited time that Mauga was available, it did feel like a good skill matchup. Regardless, I do think Hog into, especially with the new Hog rework into Mauga, is really good. So, anyways, everybody, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the content, and we have more coming out soon. We'll be talking about the state of Doomfist and Lucio in the coming days. I'll also be giving one final support video on how to rework overpowered support abilities, and I will then leave it at that and hope to God that Blizzard addresses the support problem, because I'm reaching a point now where I sound like a broken record. On the Group Up podcast with SVB, Spilo, Daniel Fenner, Samido, and Yeetle, they also talked about, pretty much the same changes that I've talked about. And this is one of those things where Blizzard just has to kind of go through with it now, or they can just experiment with it in an experimental patch. I don't understand. Why do we never use the experimental? It's so silly. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video.